Hi, stock investors. JJ here. Welcome back. Well, I say welcome back, but I haven't done one of these live shows lately, and I think I might make a habit of it. We'll see how it goes on the Stocks Today with JJ channel here. I mean, I go through the news every morning just to check up on the stock market, even though it doesn't affect my portfolio or anything like that, but I do find it interesting, and I thought I might share it with you today, and maybe in the future we'll see how it goes. This channel doesn't have many subscribers compared to the Art of Value, my other channel, but we'll just see how it goes. We might, I might carry on with it, and there's no editing here. This is my morning time. I know it's aftermarket in the US, but this is Saturday morning for me. Cheers. Pretty early Saturday morning. So let's just get straight to the news, see what happened here. Let's get on with it. And I realize that most people will be watching this later, so I'll try and make it sort of evergreen or, relate to things that can be seen later on. So stock market today, stocks rise with jumbo Fed cut on the table. Now, I'm not going to cover that much macro news here, but just to see what's been going on here just in the last session. The S&P 500 is up fractionally, NASDAQ's up a little bit, Russell 2000 up 2%. That's a pretty significant jump there. So, and gold up as well. So let's just read the headlines and then we'll get into specific stocks, specific companies and the other news. US stocks gain momentum on Friday morning, setting the stage for strong weekly wins for Wall Street's expectations on a jumbo rate cut by the Federal Reserve. So the S&P 500 rose. So there's expectations the market's going to have a big rate cut, bigger than normal. Now pricing in a 49% chance of a 50 basis point move next week. I don't like when they say basis points. It's like, let's just say 0.5%. It makes it sound bigger than it is. Compared with 15% at one point on Thursday. So that's the news. Let's just move on from there. Yes, rate cuts expected. We've heard so many prognostications in the past. Remember, even at the beginning of the year, which doesn't that seem like so long ago now? They were talking about 5 to 6 rate cuts this year. That never happened. But let's see if they go for 0.25. Chances are they'll just say, they will pretend like they're not panicking. Well, I don't know if they're panicking or not, but if they're seeing a big recession, that'll just be 2.25%. So let's get on to this one. Bear with me as I control this live stream. What a bigger than expected Fed rate cut could mean for the stock market. Well, that's conjecture, isn't it? Hotter than expected readings on consumer prices and on some wholesale prices this week. Their two markets led markets to price in a higher likelihood of the Fed Reserve will opt for a smaller, more conservative interest cut. So, one article says it's going to be bigger, thinks it's going to be bigger. One article thinks it's going to be smaller, many different opinions. So we just don't know. That's why it's better to focus on companies rather than the stock market as a whole, unless you're unless you're a macro trader. And really, my opinion on that is only a few people in the world can really do that effectively. Stanley Druckenmiller being one of those. He set an incredible record over 3-4 decades of working on the macro level, but he also looks at fundamental analysis. I saw an interview. He kind of looks at everything, but he's had a stellar record. And he was taught, of course, by George Soros, who's on Soros's team back even during the dot-com bubble, where Druckenmiller actually lost a lot of money back then, but he gained it back within the year. So, you have to take your hat off to someone like that who can manage to do that. But very, very few people can manage to do that. All right, let's move on. What's this? So this is about Palantir, and I did see here, look at some stocks recently. I think Palantir biggest gainers was, top gainers. No, I did see it. I see Palantir moved up. Palantir 1.39%. It is most active. That's right, not biggest gain, is most active. 1.39% today, and it's had a good week, I think. And of course, entering the S&P 500 for the first time. It has entered. I saw Alex Karp did a video there. He was running in the woods, and just 1 minute. I can see a cat trying to break into the studio here. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. The live business. We've got a cat running around here trying to break in. Thought it was a person for a minute. So let's get back to this meat. The newest stock in the S&P 500, it soared 430% since early last year, and it's still a buy right now. According to one Wall Street analyst. So it's gone up a huge amount. It's not looking cheap, to be honest. It really, if you look at the P ratio of the stock, but there's a lot of excitement when a stock enters the S&P 500. I remember when Tesla did, but way back in the day, and now it's Palantir's turn. And it says they're made up of 500 largest companies. Given the scope of the member companies, it is considered by many as the most dependable gauge of overall stock market performance, blah, blah, blah. We don't really need to do that. Poised to be one of the newest additions of the S&P 500. Surged 430%, accelerating adoption of generative AI. It is one of the only AI companies that is really kind of out there actually doing AI in the field. A lot of companies, of course, putting AI, saying they're doing AI, but really, there really aren't that many, are there? But there's definitely an AI boom. Whether it's a bubble or not, it's up to you to decide that. I think it is kind of getting into a bubble situation, but it could go on for years. These things can go on for a long time. Despite the tremendous run, some on Wall Street believe there's a long way ahead. Let's look at what distinguishes Palantir. I don't really want to get into that. We'll just look at the headlines. AI pioneer before AI went viral. Yes, it's over a 20-year-old company. So we'll just leave it at that. I think has been at the forefront of AI development for more than 20 years. It created sophisticated algorithms. Of course, Peter Thiel involved in the creation of that. There's a video on YouTube where he's talking about, it's called Competition is for Losers. He talks about creating companies like he was an early investor in Meta, talking about trying to dominate a market category and then go out in concentric circles from there. That's what Palantir did, starting with government contracts, pretty secretive for a long time, and now they're expanding out into the commercial realm, of course, over time, and it has been going for a long time. Okay, I'm going to move on because we've already been going here. So I wanted to address this. Just let's see. I have been doing videos on the other channel, the Art of Value channel, and about Elon Musk and Tesla, and about being I've been going through a court case. The last 4 videos I've been going through this court case alleging massive fraud, and Elon is being very political, of course. And this one here, how Elon Musk destroyed Twitter, authors say platform, as a tool for controlling political discourse. And he has been very political, divisive. Some say driving away his core Tesla customers. We'll have to see if that's the case over coming quarters. But we just don't know yet. We'll see the numbers. And this, of course, if Elon Musk saw this, he'd say the mainstream media is incredibly biased against him, out to get him. It's political forces, but he does create a lot of drama. I've been reading the Walter Isaacson book. It's clear that he likes drama and creates it himself. Even when there is no drama, he does these surges within companies to drive things forward, firing people and getting people to work all hours, flying people into SpaceX for a surge, that kind of thing. So he does like the drama in business and personal life, it seems. Elon Musk is nearly as inescapable as Donald Trump. I saw a video I was watching yesterday was saying that now, who was it? It was Ross Gerber, who many people don't like as well, saying that Elon Musk is now as hated by many people as Kanye West. I don't know if that's true, but he is that kind of divisive figure, and they were friends at times, or I don't know, they met a few times. I don't know how friendly they are, but it's an interesting, that comparison, that he's become that divisive a figure and that hated for his political stance and all of the things that he says. The owner of SpaceX and Tesla and the world's richest man, Musk, makes headlines weekly, but these days it's more from X, where he stirs up controversy by seemingly amplifying right-wing views and reposting comments suggesting that women should not have the right to vote. What? Oh, only high-status males. Oh, yes, I saw that. And some others should. So he's talking about society should be run by high-status males. He retweeted something to that effect. I mean, is he in meltdown mode? What is going on with Musk? I guess because his most mega billionaires don't put every thought they have out there, but because Musk owns X, he does tend to do that. Musk only recently hosted an interview with Trump that was filled with falsehoods. Last week, Trump proposed a government efficiency commission headed by Musk. So while Walter Isaacson, that's the book, the biography, just told Musk's life story, a new book zeroes in on Musk and his purchase of the ownership of Twitter. Character Limit. Oh, that'd be an interesting book to read. I think I might read that. I'll see. Let's move on. Let's just move on. So this one here too, but I'll just share screen there. Inside Musk mushrooming security apparatus. So because he's been so vocal and so divisive, you know, and he's talked about having threats on his life and so forth. And of course with Trump, the attempted assassination on Trump, he must be kind of getting more, I don't know if he's paranoid, but inside Musk mushrooming security as threats to his personal safety have become graver. The world's richest man has barricaded himself behind a phalanx of bodyguards that operates like a mini secret service. Right. The day before Elon Musk spoke at a celebration for Tesla's futuristic Cybertruck pickup in November, a Florida man, Paul Overeem, was arrested near the company's Austin headquarters factory and accused by the authorities of planning a mass casualty event. Wow. So we don't actually know what's going on, but imagine he's become the wealthiest person in the world, very politically divisive, and he seems to be everywhere. That's going to cause a lot of attention, which he wants, obviously, but you know, you can tell how, I mean, would that be an enjoyable kind of life to have that much security and celebrity? The incident later made headlines. What went less noticed is what happened at Tesla's event, which went ahead at the Austin factory. Security had been alerted to Mr. Overeem's threats and was fully activated. Okay, it goes on. I'm not going to read that all out. Talks about obviously a security incident there, but you can imagine what his life must be like to have such heavy security. Wherever he goes, if he goes out in public, just so much attention, and there is quite a lot of hate about him, and worshipping, of course, is just becoming very, very divisive. And things like this, right? So this is from Variety, which, how does this relate to business? Of course it does, because must offer to father a child with Taylor Swift elicits disgust. You're creepy, full stop. And this is the kind of thing that he shares. And I mean, you can just imagine that as a shareholder of Tesla, what people might be thinking. He does have, the cult worshippers there that promote his every move, and he can do no wrong. But really, pro-Trump multi-billionaire Elon Musk, the richest person in the world, was blasted on X social media platforms for suggesting he would impregnate Taylor Swift after she endorsed Kamala Harris for president, signed her post, childless cat lady. Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life. So that's meant to be obviously just a joke, but that's just kind of, he talks about free speech and anti-wokeness and all that, but really he's kind of becoming, I think he's sort of becoming a bit of a mega menace when it comes to just mouthing off like that. And Taylor Swift has a lot of fans, so she could help Kamala Harris, you could think. So let's get more to the business news here. This is from, to do with Tesla, of course. This is weird. This weirdly shaped canary yellow thing, Tesla's Robotaxi. So this was seen in LA. Is it the Robotaxi event coming up, of course, in LA at Warner Brothers Studios? Will it be a smoke and mirrors kind of event there? A spy shot from Warner Brothers lot in Burbank could be our best look at the alleged autonomous vehicle yet. Wow, you can see on the Warner Brothers lot how it does actually look like a suburban street, and that's what they want, because they're legally not allowed to have a robotaxi or with no driver on the roads yet. They just don't have the authority to do that, which of course the event is kind of designed, I think, to promote that is going to be possible. A blurry photo of a heavily camouflaged vehicle tooling around on the Warner Brothers studio lot has surfaced last night, spurring speculation that it's a fabled robotaxi set to be revealed next month. With its canary yellow wrap and clearly manipulated shape, you can see that. I see that the back of that there, I'd say that's fake. That's just to hide the actual back shape of it, I think. It's difficult to glean much about the Robotaxi from just this sighting. Everything about the photo should be taken with a grain of salt, including the tires, boxy rear end, weird roof bump, LiDAR ? So there was a question here in the last few days. Somebody was saying, I think it was Ross Gerber again, saying that he thinks that Musk will cave on the LiDAR because it's just really not working with cameras only, especially in different conditions. If you think different weather conditions, if it's going to be, Musk wants it to be on all roads everywhere as a robotaxi. And the fact is that Waymo and Cruise have got them working. They're actually operating, but they do have LiDAR, which makes them more expensive. So there's more about this. Let's move to this article. This is from Electric, which Elon Musk has, is it Fred Lambert who runs this, has become a bit of an enemy of Musk, or it has used to be a full supporter, but has turned into a heavy critic of Elon Musk and Tesla. Tesla is testing a goofy camouflage robotaxi prototype ahead of reveal. Okay, I'm going to leave that on screen and just close the door there because I let it open for the cat. Live video. I'll be back. No editing here. Tesla is gearing up for its October 10th Robotaxi unveiling, which will take place at Warner Brothers Studio, and is currently running a fleet of normal cars around the lot to map the area, which it said it shouldn't have to do, which implies that maybe they've changed it, or they want this event to be as good as possible, so they're totally mapping it, which kind of defeats the purpose of what Musk was saying about how it won't need to heavily map areas like, say, Waymo's doing. Tesla is gearing up and is currently running a fleet of normal cars, but one of the cars photographed late yesterday by a lot employee stands out. And it stands out because it seems to be heavily camouflaged. We've seen that. Well, anyway, I don't think we need to go on with that. We've seen, that's the news. There's a picture of what it possibly could look like. The concept robotaxi concept. Chances are it will probably look very similar to this. We'll have to see. It's going to be entertaining and fascinating to see. And then they speculate about the LiDAR bump there. Another feature that's spotted. Prototype sports a small bump at the rear and center of the roof, the top edge. While this could be a visual artifact or part of the camouflage, it could also be the LiDAR bump. So that's only speculation. Will Musk go back on LiDAR? Does it actually need it? And how would he explain the cost of that? Will they run a taxi network like similar to Waymo? That could actually be the case. All right, let's move on. This in Tesla news too, the semi-fire. You might have caught that news recently that a semi-truck caught fire off in a sort of wooded area, went off a highway, caught fire, took a long time and lots of water to put out. And they're saying now that semi-fire in California took 50,000 gallons of water to extinguish, of course, with the lithium-ion batteries that they're kind of different to gasoline, although both make a mess and have fires. That it takes a lot of water, and it's obviously a bushfire, wildfire threat there too. It's investigating the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the cause of this Tesla semi-crash and the fire that closed an artery of California's Interstate 80 last month for 15 hours. 50,000 gallons of water. CEO Elon Musk first unveiled the fully electric semi-trucks at an event in November 2017, but the company is still in pilot production. So I have in one of their, or I think it was 2 quarters ago, they showed the factory in Nevada being built, but it was really just a slab. Nothing had really been built yet. So people are still waiting for that. All right, let's move on. We want to move from topic to topic here without dwelling too much on it. So this here is related. Uber CEO on Waymo's expansion into Austin and Atlanta. I'll just cue this up, this video. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear this. Should be able to. Let's go.
Dara Khosrowshahi is with us now, exclusively, I might add. And Dara, I think that this may be what we've all been waiting for, which is a notice which just says, look, it's not just California, it's not just a town in Arizona, it's big places that will be getting Ubers, and almost maybe expect that it's driverless?
Well, I think that we're incredibly excited that this great technology is now is expanding, and we're incredibly excited to be expanding with Waymo, who we think is the leader in terms of driverless technology. And Jim, this is really cool tech. If you've ever taken a ride in a Waymo, it is an absolutely delightful experience, and we're very much looking forward to introducing it to the folks in Atlanta, Austin as well.
Now, yes, I've been in Waymo. I actually said, look, let's go to the best pizza place. It took me right there. It was really kind of has a brain. But I wanted to know about what you're doing in terms of municipalities. Sometimes we have.
So this is interesting because Waymo's expanding to more and more cities here, and we've got Tesla just not being able to have a robotaxi, and Waymo is actually working with, as an actual driverless robotaxi. It's been going for a while now, and yes, the cars are expensive, but they're actually working with number of rides, and the reports that it's actually really good. So there's a lot of pressure on Tesla to get this working after year of Elon Musk saying next year. And look, this is actually working. Tesla shareholders do kind of underplay this, but yes, these cars are expensive, but the thing is that Google's got very deep pockets. They don't have to run it or they haven't been running it at a profit. Will they ever be in profit? I don't know, but they're certainly making it work on the roads. It's an incredible thing that this is actually going.
We have in Phoenix. I couldn't go to the Super Bowl a couple years ago because what would happen is once you went out of Phoenix, you weren't allowed to be driverless. How are the municipalities handling what you want to do?
Okay.
Well, anytime we expand in any city, we want to be in very close contact with the municipalities to make sure that we're expanding in a safe way, in a way that makes sense in terms of traffic flows, what their goals are. That said, our intention is to bring Waymo and Uber together in markets in Atlanta and Austin in a fairly broad way. It'll take time for us to grow, but the intention is for you to be able to get, Waymo through Uber wherever you live in those cities.
Dara. So that's interesting too. I mean, is Tesla going to work like this too? Start off in a fairly small area in terms of regulatory environment. You know, that Elon Musk has said repeatedly that a Tesla car should be able to drive you from LA to New York. That was years ago. He said that. Hasn't happened. Will they eventually start in small areas and expand out like Waymo has done? And as the time goes by, it's getting bigger and bigger, these geofenced areas. As Kramer said, they couldn't go outside that geofenced area, but still, the reports are in the LA, they're becoming more frequent, getting around in the city, which is a big city. So, the geofenced area can be pretty big.
You mentioned the municipalities, but it's notable, of course, that Austin is the home to a very large company called Tesla, which has its own ambitions. Did that have anything to do with the rollout there, or is it specific to the efforts they've been making there as well to accommodate these types of vehicles?
No, Austin is a big, fast-growing market. Texas is a terrific state and obviously a big market for us. So that was really the consideration.
That would be, imagine Elon Musk in Austin, seeing Waymos there going around when they don't have Tesla cars or, officially working as robotaxis without a driver.
We were trying to find a couple of other markets to partner with Waymo in, and Atlanta and Austin turned out to be great targets for us.
To the extent you've seen some behavior of your consumer base already, what is the willingness of people to order a autonomous Uber?
Well, people are very open to it, and we're seeing actually the percentage of accept rates when offered an autonomous vehicle going up generally. There are some people who aren't ready for it, but I think the more you see these cars in the street, the more you see how safe they are, how cool they are, the acceptance rates are going to go higher and higher. And we make sure with our technology to dispatch the car to you when there's a pickup zone or a drop-off zone that's convenient. So we want to make sure that the experience is a top experience as well. And we think with that kind of experience, more and more people will want to experience autonomous.
Dara, I'm guessing at this point, for those who, as you say, might be a little reticent, you probably have some kind of 30-second pitch on what they can expect or how they should feel about it if they're taking a ride for the first time.
Yeah, we tell them a little bit about the car itself, what the experience is like, what the pickup and the drop-off is like, and people are very open to it. And again, I think if you take a ride, and we're very much looking forward to the folks in Austin, Atlanta taking a ride, they will want to take another and another.
Well, that is interesting that it's happening. We've got more about this, I think, here. There's a bit of conversation here. I haven't seen any of these videos yet.
Actually, I am surprised by the exclusivity of the pack. I would have guessed that Waymo would have gone direct as well as, partnered with the ride-sharing companies as they've been doing in the other three cities they operate in, Phoenix, LA, and California. So it is a surprise why they are going exclusive, but I think it helps Uber in that sense that they won't be disintermediated, because the way I look at it is, if I have the option to order direct from Waymo and it's a cheaper ride, I'll go there. There is no kind of loyalty when it comes to, a specific app. I'll go with the lowest price. So in this case, the exclusivity does make a difference.
What are some of the early returns in terms of consumer uptake of these driverless rides? I mean, I'm just thinking about myself, like, I'm saying I would never do this, but I mean, I climb into a car with a dude I've never even met. I don't know who this person is. It's kind of the same thing. I don't know. So what's been the consumer kind of take up?
Actually, there is some survey work that suggests that consumers may actually prefer a car that doesn't have anyone, because when you are taking an Uber, yes, there is that element that the driver can be a nice guy, or who knows. And so
that's true. I mean, I think there's something to that. If these work effectively, people might prefer not to have a driver, just to have some privacy. It's like a private car ride with no driver. There is a lot of people don't like talking to the driver, but you could always still take an Uber instead, But I think there's a case for it, say, going to a restaurant and people want to have a drink and then get back in. I mean, it's the same as a taxi there, and if it's convenient and easy, and the car just shows up and it's a reasonable price, I think there's definitely a case for it. And as I said, the Waymo is actually working and expanding to Atlanta and Austin, so people there will be looking forward to taking a ride. Or if I lived there, I'd be wanting to test it out for sure. I mean, people will probably just see them driving around and then get curious, and after seeing that they're safe enough, probably that they want to try it, I'd say.
That's where having a car that's reliable, that can go from point A to point B, and if it's a short trip, all you care about is the reliability, and you don't want the elements that can make for a bad trip. I think you can use your phone, you can do whatever you want in an autonomous ride. So there seems to be a preference for those kind of rides. And if Waymo is able to scale this, this could be huge when it comes to the take rates and the unit economics of ride sharing.
So do we know any of the economics here for what this deal looks like and all that?
Nice.
Well, we don't. And look, they just put out a press release. But the way to frame this is Uber right now takes at least a 30% take rate when it comes to, let's say, $50 ride. Uber is getting, $15 as their take rate. Now, the service they're providing is they're doing the background checks. They are providing the customer service. In this case, they have to provide the maintenance of Waymo vehicles. They have to provide, the charging, the parking, the cleaning, the repair. So all that adds up in terms of fixed costs.
I'd say so. If you think of the cleaning there, as I said, people going to restaurants and bars and coming home, you've got the problem of cleaning, of people having to be sick, to vomit in there or whatever it might be. Just the cleaning of these cars and the maintenance, as you said, the charging, there's a lot in there to maintain. It can't be a cheap exercise. And how do you know? You've got to do, who monitors the things? I guess people report that if it's not clean. I don't know how it works.
And that's where I feel that 30% take rate is a cap for now. I think their take rates will go down. So even though I like the fact that it's exclusive, from a unit economics perspective, the incremental margin for Uber will be lower here.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to this, shall we? OpenAI. Well, let's just see. Let me just see what we don't have. I'm only going to do this for 45 minutes, so we're over half an hour in. So I'll just see what we've got. We've got Dan Ives. I think we're going to skip Dan Ives today because, I think. Well, I'll show this to you. Dan Ives says there can't be an Apple super cycle without China. So he's been saying there's the upgrade super cycle, the new iPhone, but people have generally been pretty, I think, unimpressed with the new iPhone, that there's not a lot of change. I mean, there's been kind of less and less change as these iPhones have come out, of course, over time, and that's just natural. Another story we have here is OpenAI introduces AI models with reasoning abilities. Let's just check that out. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen there. Let's go.
Is this sort of a new level of AI capability?
Well, that's certainly what OpenAI is saying. I mean, it's a very competitive market out there in this space. You've already got the likes of Anthropic, Google, for instance, saying that their advanced AI tools have some of these capabilities. But this is certainly the type of development that OpenAI will be hoping will continue to give it an edge in the space as well. As you said, it's known internally as Strawberry. It's called O1 externally, but the company says that it can perform some reasoning tasks. Now, just to give some context on reasoning in the computing sense, you're essentially talking about human-like intelligence being applied, where the tool can sift through different sorts of inputs or different sorts of knowledge and then use reasoning to derive or determine the accurate answer, or what it determines to be the accurate answer. So the system is now going to be available to select OpenAI customers, and the company says it's also going to be working on regular updates and improvements as well to the tool.
What about the user experience?
This could be a little bit different from what you've come to expect, because I'm sure a lot of people have already tried ChatGPT in some capacity, and you're really used to putting in your question and then getting an immediate answer. The company's saying that this is going to be a little bit different now. You might see a bit of a pause even for a few seconds. And that's because in the background, OpenAI says the model's going to be considering different prompts and then again, coming up with what it determines to be the best response. And so that sort of technique is known as chain of thought prompting rather. Who is it for as well? Something to consider because OpenAI has given a lot of different examples of the model's response to questions on its blog post or on its website. Things like coding, English, math. It even asked it to solve a simple crossword puzzle. But does what we've heard from one of the research scientists at OpenAI as well on Twitter, Noam Brown, and he's saying that the company is releasing it now in preview mode to get more of a sense of how people are using it and where sorts of adjustments are needed. But certainly it is a step forward for OpenAI because they have been working on multi-step actions for some time.
Okay, well, that's going to be interesting. Things are moving forward, perhaps not as quickly as some people wanted. So we've got here, OpenAI investment isn't the game I want to play in, says Primetime Partners. Okay, guy up there.
Now on all of this is Alan Patrikoff, longtime tech investor and Primetime Partners co-founder. It's great to see you, Alan. Curious just your reaction to the idea of a $150 billion valuation for OpenAI, whether that makes sense to you, and ultimately what would have to happen to make that a reality, because it's currently considered a not-for-profit. I imagine you'd have to restructure some of it, and at those kind of valuations, the only way to exit, I would think, would be an IPO.
Well, it's a not-for-profit company which has a for-profit subsidiary. Andrew, it's staggering. I mean, how does one contemplate a company that was worth $80 billion, which seemed astronomical 9 months ago, and is now talking about raising money at $150 billion, that supposedly is burning $7 to $10 million a year for computational power and other needs. We're in a whole new world, but you know, when you read the news about what's happening and what OpenAI and ChatGPT is capable of, it's an open-ended world, and far be it from me to compute what the ultimate value is. I guess OpenAI is probably the second most valuable company in the world today, after ByteDance. I don't know where is up too high. It's I'm not a shareholder, and it's not a world I specifically play in, but you know, you've got a company that has, I believe, $2 billion in revenues, which is pretty astronomical in itself, since it was at zero a year ago. So how high is that up?
Well, but that's the question, Alan.
It's hard to he's having difficulty putting a value on it, and it's hard to value in terms of, if you think of growth companies and what the future could hold, really nobody knows how well, if there's going to be intense competition or what's going to happen with their tech. It really is an open field.
You've seen this. You've seen various movies before, and with various endings. And I think there's a question in the secondary market whether people are going to buy into this. By the way, there'll be some big mutual funds and others, I imagine, who may try to get a piece of this before it goes public. Would you, if you could?
I wouldn't. That's not the game, Andrew, I want to play in. I think it's. I have seen this movie before, and as I've said previously, there's going to be a winner or two winners or several winners. There are going to be a lot of losers. We've already seen some of the losers develop and get merged into other companies, and I think it's a game for speculators, and you know, a lot of investors, a lot of investment funds, a lot of organizations feel they have to show their investors that they didn't miss the boat, and therefore they have to have that name on their portfolio list. And regardless what percentage they own and at what price they're paying it, they just want to paper their results with a hot name.
It's true. In terms of their investors' portfolios, of course, it's not a public company yet. I'm just wondering in the future will be. It doesn't really need to be with so much funding. And that's partly about going public, is getting that money when they go public, selling shares to the public, but they really don't need to do that. And so in terms of portfolio, he doesn't want it wouldn't want it in his as private or perhaps as public, because it's thinking that it's a bubble or getting into a bubble, and how long could it go? They, of course, when they talk about seeing this movie before, talking about the .com bubble, is that again? And by the way, let me just tell you, in terms of portfolio, do you have tech stocks in your portfolio? Just want to let you know here, it's just a bit of a break to talk about the special offer for my followers here, The Art of Value, which is my other channel. But ShareSite, I use this as portfolio tracking and reporting tool. Really good. You can automatically bring your trades in from different brokers and go back historically. You can bring all your trades in historically to see your performance, your accurate performance over time, including dividends. So know your true performance. There's a video on this page actually here, which tells you a little about it. I'm not going to say any more about it, but there's a link in the description of this video to go and see this page and to take up the special offer. You can join up for free. It's got some really good features for free, but this is for the plan, the other plan here. I think we've heard enough from that guy. As I said, we're not going to talk to Dan Ives. Let me just see. Oh, we'll hear from Jensen here about NVIDIA. Well, let's move on to NVIDIA.
This industry is going to be producing intelligence, and what it takes is energy, and of course a lot of great computer science and large computing systems that NVIDIA makes. And so we've got to make sure that everybody understands the needs coming, the opportunities of it, the challenges of it, and do it in the most efficient and scalable way we can.
Well, that, of course, was NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang speaking to CNBC outside the White House today. He was there for a meeting about the outlook for AI and how to meet the energy demand needed to power that industry. NVIDIA shares making a huge comeback this week. And top chip analyst Bernstein's Stacy Rascon says it remains one of the best names in the industry. Joins me now. It's good to see you again. So
this guy's got a good record as tech stocks have been going up. He's got an analyst with a pretty good record.
We heard a lot from Jensen this week, whether it was in the leather jacket or the business suit. What was your biggest takeaway from either Communicopia out here where we were in San Francisco, or from what he said outside the White House today?
Yeah, look, I think he's right. You're right. The stock has been through the ringer, up and down and sideways over the last few weeks. There have been concerns about Blackwell, their next generation platform, the Blackwell delays and sustainability of demand and everything else. And look, at this point, from everything that we can see, the demand remains off the charts, right? I mean, it seems like their customers just still cannot get enough of what it is that they're delivering. And I think he's right. I think as we go forward, like you can never have too much compute, and they are, they're the ones that are supplying the most of it at this point.
You never have too much compute. Well, I guess that for AI, definitely ramping up. But there was a situation in the dot-com bubble where fiber was laid. There was too much of it, and it did get eventually soaked up. So what he means by that, if there's overcapacity, it will eventually be used, definitely with AI. But I think there is a possibility that it could be too much for how long? For how long? I don't know. But they can use it for, these big tech companies can use it for other things.
I think the concerns around Blackwell delays, which was from a few weeks ago, those have sort of proven to be mostly a nothing burger. They've got a good amount of that, billions of dollars of Blackwell revenue ramping in Q4. We'll have all of next year to ramp that platform as well. I still think this one has legs. I still think it has room to run.
He just
Okay, let's see this. We've got somebody else here saying that NVIDIA still has a very compelling story.
Joining us right now for more on the company and the sector is Joseph Moore, Morgan Stanley's senior semiconductor analyst. And let me just ask you, Joseph, what happened this week? What's pushing the momentum one direction or the other on the stock?
Yeah, I think for me, the bigger surprise was what happened in the prior couple of weeks. The quarter was really good. They beat by $2 billion, which has never happened until NVIDIA started doing it a year and a half ago. And I understand they're wrestling with these expectations issues, and there's some gross margin questions that came about, but I was really surprised at the sell-off. This is our top pick. Demand is very, very strong. And, at this point, focusing on the sort of product cycles and things like that, it's very important. We want to see the company execute to that. But really, the key issue is just the strength of the business. And we heard that from Jensen this week at a conference. We've heard that from a number now of significant executives on the customer side, how much they're committed to these workloads. So I think this is still, a very compelling story. And again, to me, I was I don't know exactly why it was up this week. I don't know why it was down so much last week, but the stock.
Why was that? Why was down? So very compelling story here. Just to finish off, we're going to see this story here. Nvidia has become the newest barometer of retail investor confidence. So this is the crucial point. He said, I don't know why it's been going up and down. I mean, it's sentiment. There's a lot of sentiment. How is it turning into a bubble? Has it already been a bubble? Has it been a bubble for a while? How big can it go?
More on the markets and the retail trading activity. Let's bring in JJ Kinahan, CEO of
JJ.
IG North America. We're trying to see beneath the averages because we haven't done much. I was trying to figure out. S&P's kind of flat. I think the Nasdaq might be down a little in September. It's been kind of low in October, but then. Joe.
Well, I think, you hit on it, Joe. We may see that the fact is that the U.S. stock market is still the best game in top, quality stocks. And
we can skip to
seeing
Nvidia.
People purchase the most, particularly over the last 2 weeks. So that to me is a little bit amazing after it got slapped, let's face it, and continues to come back. Again, their business model selling things to everybody. The only thing that really in the future, I think, endangers that model a bit is the fact that for the first time, those companies that are buying the chips are being questioned as to what's the ROI on all the, hundreds of millions or billions that are being spent on AI over the last couple of years. I don't think anybody's come out with anything so far where everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Now I see why they spent all that money.
Well, looking at that.
So there's no end in sight for Nvidia, really. That's the bottom line there. All right, I'm going to end it here. Don't forget about the share site. Check the link out in the description for that, for the special offer, and you can sign up for free. It's really good. I do recommend that. Thanks for joining me today. As I said, I might be doing these on a regular basis if that works out. I know I'm not going to get much of an audience here unless I do it again and again and again and make this into a regular show after the market suits me, because otherwise it'll be the middle of the night. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.